Hey guys, happy Sunday. I hope the weather is good where you are because down there in Charleston, South Carolina, man, it's been pouring down for the last 4 hours and it doesn't look like it's going to stop until maybe 9, 10 p.m. later tonight and some, thunderstorms during the night. So please let me know how the weather is way better than what I'm having here in Charleston. Now, next week is going to be a very decisive week for the markets because we have inflation in focus again. And this is going to give us a clear indication into what can we expect for the next half and the remainder of this year when it comes to the market maybe finally bottoming out or starting to rally here and there because things are looking a lot less worse than they were the last 3 or the last 6 months that we just behind us. So let's look at some of the economic indicators we're going to have coming up this week that are going to give us that those insights when it comes to where the economy is standing, especially as we have the Federal Reserve fighting inflation and people trying to make a sense of all of these fear mongering happening when it comes to stocks. Now, this is going to be the kickoff season for earnings, and as usual, the big banks are going to be the first to release earnings. So we have big banks releasing earnings. We also have inflation readings from the CPI, the PPI, and we have retail sales data. All of these three are good, big parameters that are going to play a lot when it comes to inflation readings, inflation, and also somehow, recession fears. Is the economy still looking good, especially as we get into earnings? So the big banks are going to tell us how savings, levels are looking at, how the levels of savings of Americans households are standing right now. And consumer credit are there all through the roof with all of the spending we saw for the first half of the year and getting out of 2021. And we're going to have retail sales. Are the retailers still sitting on a lot of inventories or not? All of these will play a major role into what to expect the Federal Reserve to respond to this inflation, if of course it has peaked, at least for the month of June. So a bunch of things to uncover here. As we go down to the main things, we have, the big banks like JPMorgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, and BlackRock, among others, when it comes to earnings. And then on the inflation readings, we're going to have the CPI and the PPI. PPI will come up on Wednesday, and the PPI will come up on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to have the June retail sales that are going to be released, providing valuable insight into consumer spending and the overall confidence. Now, we're going to also have a preliminary July reading coming from the University of Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, which is something the Federal Reserve, looks at a lot when it comes to, getting a gauge at inflation. So a lot of things coming towards inflation, and inflation. Now, a lot of people are going to be looking at the CPI data, but I don't want to focus on that because I don't think it's going to be a surprise that inflation reading for the month of June is going to go, still be a little high. But in case we have an increase month over month, not year over year, a month over month increase, not as fast, not as big as the latest we had, then it's going to be a good news in terms of inflation peaking yet. But since the last couple of weeks, we had commodities like copper, wheat, lumber, oil, gas, LNG, everything has been back now to pre-Ukraine invasion levels. So ultimately, it means that inflation may have peaked at this point, but we are not going to have this transcribed into the reports for the month of June, but only for the month of July. So maybe the market, as the market tends to kind of discounts, anticipates a little bit, maybe the market will kind of overlook these reports for the month of June and expect the month of July readings to be better than expected. But I'm not expecting any surprise for the month of the CPI for the month of June. But for the for the PPI, the Producer Price Index for the month of June, I'm expecting to see at least something showing clear signs of inflation peaking, because the PPI it's kind of the same, it's the Producer Price Index. It gives us an insight into price levels or price index for businesses, for companies. All right. So if companies are paying less in terms of inputs, it means that they will ultimately likely transfer those reductions in prices into consumers, and ultimately the CPI will also go down, as we progress, as we go in time. So if the PPI and the CPI at least show signs of not getting a lot more stickier, I mean, I'm talking about inflation, then the market will react in a positive. Now, in a positive, what does that mean in this current environment? It can mean that the market will go sideways, trade sideways, or it can also mean that the market will continue to, have these, rally here and there. But I don't expect everything to be out of the weeds yet, because maybe until we get to July, definitely August, September, and October, when things will get a lot more, you know, um, easy for the market to look at, especially as these same reports come in for the month of, July, August, September, October. Then we're going to have clear insights that inflation has started to fade away. And then investors will start putting money back into the stock market, especially as, you find good opportunities. So personally, it doesn't change much for me, because my investment strategies, as you guys know, always remain the same. I'm DCA. I'm continuing to DCA every single week or every single 2 weeks. And for the stocks that I own, individual stocks that I own, and crypto that I own, I remain, I keep holding, especially as I remain positive for these next couple of months coming, because I do believe we're gonna have inflation readings coming a lot more harder. Coming very 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 showing signs of, okay, we may see an end to this whole thing, and whether it's tech stocks, whether it's oil stocks, whether it's retail stocks, whether it's crypto, will start rising again, and I will be benefiting from the accumulation that's been doing for the last 3 to 4 months now. So let me know, guys, what you guys are planning to do this week. If you're planning to day trading, which stocks, which sector, which industries, and definitely we're going to monitor the stock market for you, even though I'm traveling now. And definitely next week I'll be back in my my regular setup, my regular studio, for everything to go back to normal. So I see you there, folks, and take care.